And then we'll open up for questions.
Yeah, excited. I just got off the Zoom with our travel roster. I've been able to meet with these guys via Zoom all throughout the course of the week, but not the same as in person. And one of my favorite things to do is talk about who they are, what they are, and how we want to play the game. And just got done doing that. I was excited to get in front of them. Felt the energy, like where they're at. Been able to watch them all week on the practice field and feel comfortable where they're at. And from a health standpoint, we're should be fairly good about everybody that's in there. Really, from an injury standpoint, just don't know this world that we're in right now, what we're battling with currently with me. But for the most part, we should be good to go. And excited for the opportunity on Saturday. Got a little different this year. We're actually busing over. Years past, I know they've flown, but just where everything was at, they decided to bus us over. So we start tomorrow on a bus trip, about 4.5 hours to get to actually stay in Cedar Rapids, I believe. So we've got a little bit different thing. That's our first road trip of the year, but we've got a plan for that and how our guys need to adjust and handle that. Should be good to go. With that, I'll open it up for questions.
Coach, this is uncharted territory for you. Have you reached out to anybody that's kind of been through something similar to get some advice how to manage Saturday?
Yeah, absolutely. Not just recently. I've done this for really since I got here. I lived it, through the COVID world in the pros. So we had a plan that I worked closely with Joe when I was with the Giants last year in case something happened. Talked through several people that he had conversed with in the NFL, and then when I came to college, just knowing that in the spring it may happen. I talked about it, and then also talked to a couple Big Ten coaches and other college coaches that have gone through it last year and this year. I believe there was 6 Big Ten coaches last year that were actively going to be unable to participate in the game. Now, a couple of those got canceled, so they didn't actually go through game day. But, the NCAA is pretty clear on what my rules are on game day itself, but really how to handle all the way up until that moment was most of those conversations.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Hey, Coach, it seems like two pretty similar teams in terms of style of play, maybe a bit different in scheme on defense. But what do you think are some of the keys for you guys to come out of there with a win on Saturday?
Well, obviously a lot of respect for Iowa and how they play. I get the comparisons, but we're two different type teams in offense and defensive schemes. Special teams, we're opportunistic just like they are. Have some punters that have a lot of similarities. But I think the keys for us is to play our game, right? Well, we practice Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week. Even going back to last week with our bye week, we watched them play Minnesota. There were some things that definitely came up in that game that are nuances. Obviously, first complete game with a new quarterback. But for the most part, Iowa is very efficient when they win the turnover margin. When they're at home, they're pretty hard to defeat when they win the turnover margin. They play extremely well with ball control. So we gotta understand that going into the game. But we have to do what we do, right? Defensively, we got to keep the ball in front of us, tackle well, apply pressure to the quarterback, disruption through either the tackles or the ball in the air or on the ground game, and really capitalize on the moments and be great in critical situations.
This feels like a game where special teams is going to come into play and be a factor. Would you agree with that? And
it always is. It hasn't really played out that way in our games this year, just because our kickers and punters have been very good about not allowing much return game. But this guy has more returns than anybody we faced this year in the punting game. I really got a lot of respect for what they do. But I think anytime we're in a game that a close Big Ten West game for us on the road, ball placement where the ball is to start a series, right? Starting yard line is going to be a huge factor. So that ball position is going to be a big factor in every game.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Hey, Brett, after listening to the radio show last night, can I just get some clarity on what Pat Ryan's role will be tomorrow and just kind of how you came to that? It sounded like, if I'm not mistaken, he'll be effectively taking over a lot of your duties in the terms of challenges and timeouts. Can I just get some clarity on that?
Yeah, well, yes and no. So Coach Ryan has been with us, obviously, since last spring, but has not really been involved with us, from a football perspective. So he'll be on the sideline. He'll be able to give information to my coaching staff, but he won't be out of headset. So he really won't be involved with the communication officials. What I like is just his presence, his awareness. He's going to be on game days. In the past, he's really been involved in recruiting and what goes on, but I've asked him to be on the sideline. He'll give feedback to not really my offensive, defense, and special teams coordinators will be in control while they're on the field, like in charge of, hey, we need a timeout. We don't have the right personnel, or there's too little time on the shot clock. Defensively, we don't like to call, or it's an end of half in the game scenario, or special teams. But the guy that'll be making those calls and doing and relating to the officials is a guy that has been working with me all year. He's been kind of my assistant that helps me with all varieties. He hasn't been on the field coaching, but John Marinelli is a guy that, and he will wear my headset and be able to communicate with the people involved.
And how did you come to John on this? I know he's got a longtime high school coach, but how did you kind of fall into this?
Just as this thing kind of unfolded, I didn't say it earlier in the week just because I don't want a bunch of buzz or hype. He's literally going to be nothing but the functionality of what we need to have get done. He's on the sidelines with me throughout the whole course of the year. We work closely on game day. He might give me advice or thoughts on, hey, we got 2 timeouts left. They got 3. I ask him to relay me certain information during the course of the week. I give him projects like on certain games we played, on turnovers by a certain player, missed tackles by a certain player, end of game scenarios. He makes all of those edits for me, and then he's in every coordinator meeting that I have. So he has nothing to do with on the field coaching. It all has to do with meeting room, and he's been with me every step of the way through these 10 games. So he's got a better understanding of everything that I do on game day than really anybody else in our program. So he has that experience coming into the game, and then game day itself will be handled by the coordinators respectively, and he'll just be the relay piece. I talked to the Big Ten office, Bill Carollo. I was trying to see if they would allow me to have multiple coaches be able to, like an offensive coach, Coach McDonald would make great sense offensively, but when we're on defense, I don't want to take away from his ability to work with the offense and the receivers. I didn't want him trying to be on the defense side of the ball. So this allows everybody in our program, coaches and players, to stay on task with what we asked them to do. And now a combo platter between Marinelli and Pat Ryan will be able to kind of function as a go-between for me.
And if I could get one more, sorry, what's your level? Do you have a level of concern that you guys might be impacted beyond just you on Saturday?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm a head coach that was, in the building. But last week, really from Thursday on, I'm trying to think. Yeah, I left Thursday for recruiting. I literally had no contact with our players any way, shape, or form until Sunday. And Sunday we were masked up and had a very short practice. So I really wasn't around a lot of players. But yeah, I mean, there's really for the last 4 weeks, to be quite honest, when we had the first element, and again, it wasn't a player, it was a support staff, and it was a student equipment manager. But really it's just been on a heavy spike, the last month in our campus, and our kids are out walking the streets. I wasn't anywhere around them, but the fact that it's in our community, has been a big factor. To be quite honest, my greatest concern was my wife and my kids, right? So thankfully they've been negative through this whole thing. I've been isolated since early Monday morning to where we are today, and unfortunately got to stay that way until they tell me I can come back.
Thanks, Brett. Hope you're feeling okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Hey, Coach, as a former COVID patient, I understand the pains of being isolated. It's quite terrible. But I had a question about the leadership that some of the captains kind of spoke to yesterday. Owen and Vidarian both said they kind of have taken on a greater role of that this week. What's that kind of mean to you to see those two guys do that in your absence?
Hey, I loved Owen Carney and Vidarian Lowe long before yesterday. But when I read those comments last night, when it's COVID appropriate, I'll give them a big hug, because I have grown so much getting to know them, and if I've had any impact on them on where we are today, to hear your players regurgitate what you say and what you believe in. There's a lot of things that I saw this week in media from our players, and even just to feel their energy in the meeting I just had with them. I know what they're capable of doing. I know what they're trained to do. And, I've really said this all along, right? It's not what happens, it's how you react to what happens. And when it's at its worst, we're at our best. And those aren't cliches. Those are ways of thinking. And that's what you got to lean on right now. I'm excited. We didn't just train for the Iowa week this week, right? We've been training on this since January, and I think that's the effect of what we see.
And then to follow up, you kind of said that there with you didn't train just for Iowa, you've been training for this entire thing. How much of, I guess, this week will be an indicator of everything that you've kind of built since getting here in December?
Yeah, every game it's independent soul, but it's a Big Ten West road game, against a team that we greatly respect. Every game takes on a life of its own, but I'm excited to see where they're at. We're going to have to battle through adversity. We're going to have to ride the highs. It's a very good football team. I think they're ranked number 2 in the country at one point this year. So know what they're capable of doing and how they're capable of playing. But I am excited to see where they're at. And isn't one game's not going to determine the season, but I can't tell you how excited these walls are. I feel bad for any piece in this house, right? Because I know what I'm going to be doing on Saturday. But unfortunately, I'll be self-contained.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of your isolation.
Thanks, man.
Hey, Coach, just out of curiosity, how will you take in the game? I obviously listening on the radio, I assume. But no, I mean, are you watching it like anybody else on TV? Do you get a special link or something?
No special links. I'm not that special yet. But I would I'll give you a sneak preview, right? So right now, I'm planning on watching it on that TV or that TV or that TV or that TV or that TV. I don't know which one I'm gonna. But I have the ability to watch it. I said I want where I'm going to watch it, and I want a backup plan. I want a backup plan to that backup plan. I just want to make sure I'm going to be able to take it all in. I'll be able to tune into FS1, and I don't know if I'll turn down the TV volume and turn up the radio volume and listen to Brian and those guys call it or what. I'll probably do a variety of different things. My wife and I both enjoy the game and love the game. I've never been able to watch my team play with my wife, but she's not in the same building as me. So I don't know what we're going to do. We're going to kind of talk through that. I'm just excited to get there.
And then I understand the results will go to you on your record. You good with that?
I am. Yeah. I totally, somebody asked me that question today. It hadn't even really dawned on me, but I love this team. Win, lose, or whatever the result is, you got to own it. We're a team that I think this thing that has proven to us more than anything is, we're a team that has gone through some things that have been hard to go through, but we've hopefully championed those moments. And regardless of what happened Saturday, we're the University of Illinois football team through and through.
It makes sense. I was just, for fun. Maybe George would want it if it's the W. Thank you.
Yep.
So I'm curious of what the day-to-day is right now. I see your 5 screens there. I'm sure you're trying to do the same thing you'd be doing as your office, but is there any, like I'm bored, I'm going to watch some Netflix. I mean, is there anything like that? Or are you just full same mode, just isolated?
So I probably shouldn't admit this, right? But I'm a 51-year-old man on this earth that I can't even comprehend what you just said. Like, I've never watched Netflix in my entire life. Like, I have my wife and I, like, people laugh at us. I think it's because she's extremely cost effective. She doesn't allow Netflix to be anywhere on my menu. I also I don't watch much except for sports and what we do. So there's not a lot of variety, but one of the options I have here in my new setup is Sling. I didn't even know what that meant, right? To get TV. So, no, my day is really, we start in the building usually, somewhere, well, our players are all in the building before 6:30. So coaches were in there between 5:30. That hasn't changed. My head clock still goes off. Last night I was making an edit at 10:30 last night about what I was going through today. Once we get through kind of today, even if it was a home game and I was in my office on Friday afternoons to Saturdays, a lot of times I'll focus on next week's opponent, just getting myself refreshed with what their depth chart, the games we want to use in our breakdown. I begin to look at early downs on Northwestern. So that's just kind of my standard mode of operation. I don't ask my coaches to do that because as an assistant, I didn't ever want to do that, but I think as a head coach, you have to. My wife give me a little care package of goodies that are conscientious, health conscious. I drink a lot of G2s and Gatorades and waters, and that's about it, man.
And then I have a process question. Is there a certain quarantine period here, or is it like once you test negative, you can return, or is there you're out 10 days minimum and then you test? Have they given you what the return plan is?
Robert, I'm going to correct you on one item, right? I'm not under quarantine. I'm under isolation, right? I asked that same question. I referred to myself being quarantined the other day, and I was scolded. So quarantine means that you're put in an environment where you're basically in a remote location by yourself, not remote, but just a location by yourself, but you're limited on you can come and go. Isolation means you get put in a place and you're supposed to stay there. So I literally haven't moved other than the transition from where I was at to where I am now, and vice versa. I said, well, can I go get my car and open the sunroof and drive around and not talk to anybody at 11 o'clock at night? And the answer was no. So I'm literally under isolation. I haven't been given the exact date. I've been so concerned about everything else. I do believe that it'll be sometime before the Northwestern game. And I tested negative on Saturday, and then Monday was a positive. So I don't know where in between is going to go, but I'll just do what they tell me to do, and hopefully I'll be back for Northwestern.
Okay, then one just final question.
Yeah.
Can you like order DoorDash or have any food delivered?
I actually don't, because I kind of want to stay. I don't want people to know where I'm at. There's very few people. I will tell you, I'm in the CU area, and nice little Airbnb. I guess it's not real big. It's probably about as big as a nice hotel room, but I really don't want any unwanted traffic or people around me, and I don't want to put anybody at risk either. So people have been great about just, I get a knock on the door, they leave me a little food, and it's very weird, man. It's just extremely weird, but it is what it is.
All right, thanks.
Definitely, man.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Brett.